Hi, I want to tell you a little bit about the experiences that I had in trying to overcome my social anxiety disorder. I want to tell you about three experiences I had, and these were all exposures that I was told to do that would really help me. The first one that I did was actually there's a community online where they teach guys how to talk to girls, basically. And when I found out about that, my social anxiety was very much around the fear of talking to girls and how I wasn't having the relationship with girls that I wanted, and I had so much trouble and blushing and embarrassment, and just the topic of sex or relationships would make me blush, just hearing it around me. And so my problems were mostly focused around that. So what I actually did was there was something called a boot camp where you meet up with someone who's supposedly really good with women, and then you go out and you go talk with women. And this coach then helps you to, basically he pushes you, like go in there and talk to them. And I did this in Amsterdam. I think I might have been 18 or 19 or something like that. And I paid a lot of money for it. And I met up with the coach. And I was so scared. Like days before it, I couldn't sleep. I was really, really terrified because now I had to do that. And I was going to look like a dumbass and people were going to judge me. And I was pretty terrified. But I wanted to overcome my social anxiety. So I was like, I'll do anything as long as I can feel comfortable. And what they said was that once you do this, it's a good starter, and from then on, things will be a lot easier. So I did it. So I met up with my coach in Amsterdam, and we went out to the park. And the first assignment was to walk up to some people and to just ask the time. But I didn't have any problem with that. Then after that, I had to walk up to someone, ask for the directions, and then introduce myself and put out my hand and say, hey, my name is Sebastian, in Dutch, of course, in Dutch. Hey, my name is Sebastian, and, what's your name? And it was horrifying. Just even doing that was horrifying. And then as I kind of got a little bit more comfortable doing that, really comfortable sitting here, as I got comfortable doing that, it progressed to where I would walk up to girls, groups of girls, and I would ask them for their opinion. So I would ask them, hey, can I ask you a quick question? Who lies more, men or women? So I had to do that the first time, and I was terrified and stuff like that. But I kept doing that, and I think I might have talked to 20, 25 of groups of girls that day, and continuously asking them the same question, the same opinion. And eventually I kind of got better replying to it, and I got a little bit more comfortable doing so. And at the end of it, I became quite comfortable doing that. Just asking the opinion, that is, not actually being in the conversation and connecting with people, but just doing my little performance thingy. And then it was the end of the day, and the end of the day we're actually going to go out as well and to talk to more girls. But I came up with an excuse because I was like, no, I had enough for today, and tomorrow we'll do the rest, because it was a weekend boot camp. Then that night, knowing that the day after this was going to be the same like it was today, but more intense, I was just horrified, and I was highly, highly anxious. And I was sleeping in a hostel in Amsterdam, and people were coming in drunk, and I couldn't sleep at all. Maybe I might have slept like an hour that whole night. And then the next morning when I met up with the coach again, I told him, well, I don't really have to do it, and I'm going away to Thailand at the time anyway. So, just tell me what to do, and I know what to do now. It's just a matter of doing it. Basically, I came up with great excuses to convince him that I wasn't going to talk to any more girls, and that was the end of the workshop. And that's what happened, and that was my experience. So while I got a boost after that first day, it was so difficult for me to do that again the next day. It took so much out of me that I simply couldn't persist with it. Okay, so that's the first experience that I want to tell you about. I did a lot of these type of experiments, and another one was where I heard that you can become rejection proof, so that you don't care anymore about rejection. And what you should do was to, it's again involved with women, this one, you should walk up to a girl and say to her, hey, I like you, give me your number, with the intention of getting rejected. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. And kind of the same thing, I was so shit scared before doing it. I couldn't sleep for 2 or 3 days. But I told my buddy Paul about it, and I asked him to come to Amsterdam with me to make sure that I would do it. I would make an experiment out of it, and we had like a written book down for my thoughts, my feelings, what would come up for me, and just a checklist of 20 girls or groups of girls. And so I went to the city, highly anxious, and we're at the Dam Square, and my buddy's like, all right, let's get started then. And then I walked up to the first girl who was actually passing by, and I was like, hey, you like me, give me your number. And she completely ignored me and walked past. And I walked back to my friend, I'm like, okay, that's one, I've done one now. And that kind of went on. Ones that stand out I can remember is I went into a store, and there's this girl and the guy, and I say to the girl, hey, you like me, give me your number. She's like, I'm not going to give you my number. What would I give you my number for? And I was like getting bright red, and the guy was laughing. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, uh-huh. And all awkward and embarrassed, I walked out. And another one was in a really fancy store, really fancy, luxurious store, and I walked in. And no, wait, I didn't walk in. My buddy Paul's like, okay, go in, and that girl right there, a cute girl, who was filling up the shelves with jeans. I was like, no, I can't do it, and can't do it, and I was walking around, and he was like, well, you said you were going to do it, so if you want to do it, then decide now. It's not up to me. And then eventually I was like, okay, I'm going to do it, and I had my backpack with me, and I dropped my backpack on the floor, and I walked in, and I did my little line. She's like, I don't like you. Who do you think you are? And there were a bunch of people standing at the cash register as well that heard it. And so when I walked out, the girl behind the counter was like, wah, wah, wah. And, massive embarrassment again. But this was the 6th or 7th time that I did it, and it was starting to get to me a lot less. Then I walked up to 3 other girls that were walking towards me. I was like, hey, you girls like me, give me your numbers. And they're like, what, are you crazy? Are we on MTV or something? Where's the camera? But I started to become more and more comfortable doing it. And at the 19th or 20th time, I went into a lingerie store, and by now I felt pretty confident doing it. And I said to the cute girl, who was a lot older than me, hey, you like me, give me your number. And she's like, well, you sure got balls to come in here and say that to me, but I'm not going to give you my number, but, good luck on your little quest there. And so after that day, I felt fantastic. I'm like, yeah, I'm the man. I'm super confident, and rejection isn't going to get to me anymore, and look at me, and blah, blah, blah. And then I went back to my old pattern of being at home, smoking weed, and avoiding everything, because now I was like, well, I've achieved this, and now I don't have to do anything anymore. And so a couple of days later, insecurity, low self-esteem, and anxiety was back where it was. So that was experience number 2. Experience number 3 was around, it's kind of a psychological concept called flooding, where you do the thing you'd be most afraid of. And I cared a lot about what other people thought of me, which I'm sure you can relate to. And I was in Kuala Lumpur at the time. I was there by myself, and I went out, and the idea was to do something that's so ridiculous that's going to get everyone's attention, and for sure would make everyone judge me negatively and think I was a weirdo, right? The thing that I was most afraid of. So I bought the brightest red lipstick and smeared it all over my mouth, everywhere, made big lines all over my eyes, and then I walked through Kuala Lumpur in the main street for an hour, and people would say, "What's that on your face?" And I pretend nothing was going on, and inside I was, I was dying inside. But kind of the same pattern. After a while, it started to become a lot easier for me, and I wasn't bothered so much anymore by what they did. And I just felt a lot more comfortable with myself. And then afterwards there was a hypnosis track that I would listen to, and that would solve all my problems. And so I did. And I think it has improved my confidence a bit, but I'm not, honestly I can't say if it really stuck that well. What I know now is that all these exposures were really extremely challenging to do, and it was too difficult for me to be persistent with them, to stick with them. Even the easier ones that were more gradual, like I just didn't have the persistence to keep doing it every day. And I love cognitive behavioral therapy and neuro-linguistic programming. I think all these techniques are great, but it could be a lot easier when instead of these scary exposures, you do non-scary exposures, which is basically where you use EFT, which is great. They're starting to listen to the tune next to me. Which is basically where you do, where you first use EFT on yourself to get rid of the reasons as to why you're anxious. So the negative experiences from your past and the negative limiting beliefs that you hold. And then as you do that, as you've done that, you pick a event that you're afraid of experiencing, and you apply EFT, the weird tapping, which releases negative emotions. And as you have done that, and you think about the event and it doesn't scare you anymore, then you go through the event, then you experience whatever you experience, and that broadens your comfort zone and it raises your confidence. Now you might still get triggered a little bit, but it will be nowhere as intense as it would be when you would just go through it by changing your thoughts and trying to hold a certain mindset. Well, that's very helpful as well. So I'll be bringing out more information about non-scary exposures, but I was asked to do a little bit of information about my story and what I've tried and stuff like that. So I hope this is helpful, and if you have any questions, please reply below and I'll do my best to answer them. Bye.